G'day and welcome to EFL TV. Tony Shebeki filling in for Daniel Harford. I did such a good job 3 weeks ago that I think Harf has sort of just cracked a little bit. It's all right, Harf, you can come back next week if you want. Ben Waterworth joining me. G'day, Ben.
Hello, Tony. I was actually about to mention that when you filled in a couple of weeks ago, some rumours around the EFL offices that Harf just better watch his back.
And rightly so.
Oh, there you are.
Rightly so. I've got some great comments on Twitter. Thank you for your feedback at the Shebekster, SCHIBECSTA, if you want to follow me. Let's talk Division 4, Nunawading versus the Basin. What a great game this is going to be.
It should be a great game. I suppose it's a great opportunity for Nunawading especially to test themselves against the best, and at the moment the Basin are the best by quite a fair margin. You look at their points for, they're actually averaging 154 points per game at the moment, so they're getting some massive scores, led by Brent Gully up forward. He's kicked 41 goals so far this year, Tony, so he's in really, really good form. Nunawading, on the other hand, they're also a very good attacking team, third best attacking team in Division 4 at the moment, led by Sam McCallum. He's kicked 38 goals, but they've also got a fair bit of good form coming out of their midfield. Some of those experienced guys like Steve Alderton and Christian Holdsworth doing a fantastic job in there. But you look at it defensively, the Basin are also the best defensive team. They're averaging around 10 goals, conceding 10 goals per game. So 154 for and about 10 goals they're conceding. So I think the Basin should be able to win this one away from home. Hopefully Nunawading can put up a good contest, but I think the Basin in the second half will run away with this one. And
the Division 3 game we're going to look at is Warrandyte versus the Whitehorse Pioneers.
And this is so big, Tony. They're actually going out to Warrandyte Reserve on the 98.1 Radio Eastern Caravan of Courage. Will be heading out there to broadcast this one. So 1 to 6 p.m. on 98.1 are, of course, streaming on efl.org.au. The reason why this game's so big, Tony, is because Warrandyte and Whitehorse, last week they'd only won 2 games between them for the whole year, but they both won last weekend. Great victories for, especially for their confidence for the rest of the season. So if they are able to get a win here, one of these two teams, it separates them from the dreaded R word, relegation. We don't like that word, Tony. So big opportunity for these two teams. A big one for Whitehorse Pioneers. Daniel Johnson's probably been their best player this year, but over the past month he's had some shoulder injuries. Not sure if he's going to line up. If he lines up, the Whitehorse Pioneers are every chance. But Warrandyte, I just think on their home patch might have a little bit too much class. Thomas Appleby received the Leader Young Gun nomination last week, I should say, in very good form. 7 times he's been named the best player, so he's in excellent form. At home, I think the Bloods, but hopefully the Pioneers can put in a really good show for our radio game.
All right, mate, we'll let you jump out of that chair because very shortly Peter Schwab, the AFL coaching director, is going to join me for a chat, and then we'll get Ben back in to have a look at Divisions 2 and 1. And welcome back. Time to have a chat to a guy who's been around the AFL for a long time, not only as a player and a coach, but also in different areas of the AFL as well. As we say, a very good afternoon to Peter Schwab. How are you, Schwabby?
I'm very well, Tony. Yep.
Good, mate. Now, your role is Director of Coaching. Tell us about that at the AFL.
I put in 2 words. Well, no, a few words.
Yep.
Trying to grow and develop the quality and the quantity of coaches. And I do have a bit to do with the umpires, so same thing. Trying to get the quality and quantity in the umpires.
So to an extent, you're the coach's coach?
A little bit, a lot of curriculum development and getting the courses right, trying to educate for the best environment out there, and a little bit of talent. I do a little bit in the AIS program, so I enjoy that. It's
always something that I've always thought we could do better in local footy, having a person in your sort of role for the coaches out there to actually go and talk to. A lot of local coaches are under a lot of stress, and just the ability to be able to vent and have a chat to someone as a mentor would be great.
Yeah, well, we're investigating this coaching coordinator role at football clubs, so that particularly at juniors where there's a lot of teams, someone who could oversee the coaches and as you said, be a mentor and an advisor. But it's not out of the question for any league to have a person who's prepared to take that sort of role on and help out. Yeah.
Massive week in footy this week, multicultural round. Tell us more about that.
Well, it was launched this week, and I thought it was a great launch. We've got a team attached to it, which I think is going to create a bit of interest. Yeah. I think Jezelenko and Silvani were 2 of the people who launched it. So there's some great cultural names there from the past, but we also have got some ambassadors now that we've appointed to help promote football in communities that don't traditionally play the game. Yep. Nick Natanui is probably the highest profile person in AFL, and he's one of the ambassadors, and Basha Hooley. So I think they go a long way to helping us break into some of the, culturally diverse backgrounds of people that we don't we don't normally touch. So that's part of the aim, is to promote our game in those areas.
And it's fair. I mean, as you said, there's been so many now different nationalities that have been represented in football, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, I suppose it was the Italians and the Greeks who, through migration, came into it. Now I think we're looking at probably Africans. A lot of African migration now. Yeah, well, Majak's an ambassador. I think 14% of our AFL lists now are either born here or have a parent who was born overseas. Or, sorry, they were born overseas or have a parent who was born overseas.
The challenge of trying to coach people from different nationalities.
Yeah, I think when you coach people, everyone's different. So, you've got to understand where they've come from. So in that regard, you've got to understand their cultural background and what some of the issues may be. There may be a lack of simple things like transport. They can't actually get to where they need to get. Certainly money might be an issue. But I think if you look purely at the game, the one thing that is happening with AFL footy, it's become quite a complex game as you go through the higher levels, but even down at community level, they're playing forward press, perimeter defending and all that. So I think game sense for multicultural players is probably an issue for them when they first come in. They can learn how to kick it and mark it and handball, but then you put them around a lot of people who are tackling, and where do they kick it and how they avoid tackles, and I think that's a challenge for them.
As under your role of director of coaching, our game is going to so many different countries now, where we're setting up Auskick clinics and the like. Do you have the opportunity to speak to some of the coaches of these countries and bringing our game into their culture? Yeah,
well, Tony was ex-player and I was his coach. He's in charge of the international. And I think it was last year we had the International Cup, which every 3 years, which is a great event. So we had a massive amount of fanfare behind that last year. Ireland ended up beating Papua New Guinea in the final, but we had, I think Timor had a team in there and the French had a team. So what we did during that carnival was run a level 1 coaching course. And it was fantastic. So we touched probably 60 people from about 20 countries in that regard, and it was a great day. So we do that, and I've been fortunate enough this year. I went to AFL Europe, played the AIS over in England, and I got involved with the AFL Europe program, which Ty Kennelly was the coach. So Ty and I worked there for a week, and again we had an Italian guy who couldn't speak English, but we had a German boy who could speak Italian, so he deciphered for him. We had Croatians and a couple of boys from Denmark. So just by having a week with them and trying to educate them, therefore they end up going back as an ambassador for our game. So it's growing, and we'll hopefully run a combine in China and run a combine in America.
Fantastic.
So there's a lot. And Ty Kennelly ran a combine in Ireland again. So the Irish have traditionally supplied players for us.
When you said you had an Italian who couldn't speak English, I thought you were talking about Dipper.
Well, we could have sent Dipper over, but I think when Dipper got there, he actually tried to speak Italian, but he couldn't even be understood in Italian. So I don't know what dialect he's talking when he's talking.
Mate, thanks for coming in today. It's been real great to have you on board and have a chat to you, and good luck with the role.
Thanks, Tony.
Peter Schwab joining us, Director of Coaching for the AFL. Ben will be back to talk about Divisions 1 and 2 in a tick. Welcome back, EFL TV. Tony Shebeki filling in for Daniel Harford. Great to have Peter Schwab in the studio for a bit of a chat, Ben. And the EFL's getting right behind multicultural round as well.
Certainly are. Plenty of articles in the Eastern Footballer this weekend, which you can get at the gate on Saturday afternoon. But we've also got a survey going on the official EFL website at the moment, where you can go in and just sort of help us out. We can find out which countries you're from, which countries your parents were born in. And that'll sort of give us an idea of how diverse the Eastern Football League has become as well. So should be on the front page of the EFL website. Go out there and make sure you fill in that survey. It only takes about a minute, so we really will appreciate your help in filling that one out.
If you don't play in the EFL, can you still fill it out?
Of course you can, Tony. I'm sure. What is your background?
Maltese mother and Italian family on my father's side.
Well, there you are. So if you can fill that one out, you can. I'm sure you'll sort of skew the results in all kinds of different directions.
Yes, I'm sure you will. Let's have a look at Division 2, mate, because we've got a couple of big games to get into. First of all, Rowville versus Montrose. It is first versus third.
And it could be, Tony, a grand final preview in Division 2. This is a huge game. These two teams met back in round 3. Most of us saw this game firsthand. Montrose lost that game. They were undefeated up until then, but Montrose lost that game. But ever since, Tony, they've won every single game. So call it a line in the sand game. Huge opportunity for Montrose again to get one back on Roval this weekend. Roval had a great victory over Upper Ferntree Gully last weekend. Some good signs coming out of that. But I just like Montrose at the moment. Dean Stephen is in Division 2 best and fairest form. Brett Johnson, of course, the former Williamstown, Hawthorn Carlton player, in fantastic form. Obviously not giving the best players out at the moment because he's been named the best for the past couple of weeks. So he's in great form. And Billy Schilling looks like he's sort of taken a step forward, Tom Hawkins style. A big guy, a young guy who's put on a lot of pressure, but he's really taken that step forward this season. So hopefully he can live up for Montrose. I get the feeling the D's, even though this one is at Seabeck Oval, can probably get the chocolates here, Tony. Get on the D's this weekend.
All right, I know why our 98.1 FM call team is going to watch Division 3.
Why is that?
Because on my notes here it says that game, Division 2, Roval Montrose, is too hard to call.
It is very hard to call. It is very hard to call. Oh, you're not wrong. It's clearly the match they ran in Division 2, but in my opinion, Montrose's form over the past month in particular, because Roval did lose 2 games, Montrose's form, I reckon, just gets them over the line.
Division 1, Scoresby v Knox, 4v6 at Exeter Reserve.
It is. And a couple of weeks ago, you say a 4, but that's where Scoresby are at the moment. But a couple of weeks ago, Scoresby were first. And now they went down to 6th, and now they're back into the top 4. So a bit of a topsy-turvy for Scoresby at the moment. They've won their past 2 games. They're in a bit of form. The likes of Jones and Crawsick have been in very good form. The Hogle boys kicked 5 goals each last week, so good signs for them. But speaking of teams who've turned the table, Knox are exactly one of those teams. They have won their past couple of games, but they've also kicked their highest scores in the past 2 weeks as well, kicking 90 and 100 points, which is something that you don't often see from Knox. So good signs there. Luke Williams, their captain, is in very good form. If you asked me who would win this game at the start of the season, Tony, I would have said Scoresby just going on form line. But over the past couple of weeks, I've been very impressed with Knox. I reckon they can cause a bit of a ball over here at Exeter Reserve. Get on the Falcons. I reckon they can get to the 4 points over Scoresby on the weekend.
I used to play for the Falcons.
Did you really?
Yeah,
How'd you go?
Wyndham Vale Falcons.
Wyndham Vale Falcons. A little bit of a difference in geographical region between those two.
Same bird, though.
That's very much so.
I'm going for the Falcons too. Ben, what else we got to talk about?
Plenty of other stuff happening around the Eastern Football League. Of course, as I said, make sure you get on board the Eastern Footballer. Get on that survey as well. And it should be a fantastic weekend of Eastern Footy League action. Make sure you have your radio dialed tuned to 98.1 Radio Eastern. And of course, follow us on Twitter at Footy EFL as well.
And let them know whether you like me or half better.
Yes.
That'd be great. That's a good Twitter topic.
We'll maybe put up a poll on the EFL website during the week.
Tony Shebeki signing off. We'll catch you, well, maybe not next week because I'm sure half will be back, but maybe another time soon.